When someone disrespects you, do you actually know what you're doing in that moment? Yes, it feels obvious. Someone insults you, talks down to you, cuts you off mid-sentence, and your blood starts to move. You either snap back, go quiet, or replay the whole thing in your head for the next 3 days. That looks normal. That feels like being human. But behind that reaction, there's something deeper happening that most people miss. Disrespect isn't really about what was said. It's a test. A small, quiet test most people fail without ever knowing they were being graded. And if you misunderstand what disrespect actually is, you can spend years giving away your power to people who never deserved a single second of your attention. Let's start with what most people get wrong about it. So why does someone actually disrespect you? Most people assume it's simple. They think the person is just rude. They think the person is having a bad day. They think it has nothing to do with them. Or worse, they think it's about something they did. End of story. But here's the thing. If somebody only wanted to express frustration, they have 100 easier options. They could walk away. They could stay silent. They could complain to someone else. So why aim it directly at you, in front of others, in that specific moment? Because disrespect is rarely about anger. It's about positioning. When a person disrespects you, they're checking your floor. They're seeing how low you'll let yourself sit before you stand up. Epictetus taught his students that we are not disturbed by things, but by our judgments about things. Read that again slowly. The insult doesn't hurt you. Your interpretation of the insult does, and the person testing you is hoping you interpret it the wrong way, because that interpretation hands them the upper hand for free. And by the way, if someone who used to respect you suddenly starts cutting you down, it's never random. Most people brush that off as a mood swing. We'll get into what that pattern really means at the end of this video, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. 1. The pause. So here's the first thing mentally strong people do. When someone disrespects them, they pause. Have you ever noticed that the most respected person in any room is almost always the slowest to react? That's not a coincidence. It's calculated. There's a behavioral pattern psychologists call the stimulus-response gap. The weak link is anyone who closes that gap to zero, who reacts instantly, who lets the other person hit a button and watch them light up. Mentally strong people stretch that gap on purpose. They take a breath. They let the silence do the talking. Here's what most people don't realize. When someone disrespects you and you respond in under 2 seconds, you've just given them a free read on your nervous system. They now know exactly what frequency to hit if they want a reaction next time. They've calibrated you. The pause is how you stop being calibrated. Zeno of Citium, the Greek philosopher who founded Stoicism over 2,000 years ago, said something simple that captures this. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. He wasn't talking about being polite. He was talking about staying unreadable. Think about the people in your life who never seem rattled. If they pause before answering an insult, they're refusing to be calibrated. If they ask a question instead of defending themselves, they're shifting the spotlight. If they let 3 full seconds pass before saying a word, they're letting your discomfort grow louder than their voice. 2. Refuse to match the energy. Ever wonder why the most powerful people in history almost never raise their voice? Maybe it's the calm general who terrified his enemies more than the loud one. Maybe it's the boss who somehow gets the whole room to fall silent without saying anything sharp. Maybe it's the friend who, when insulted, just smiles slightly and lets the comment sit in the air until it dies. That stillness isn't weakness, it's strategic. Here's something that might surprise you. Disrespect is designed to lower you to the level of the person doing it. That's the entire point. They want you angry. They want you defensive. They want you in the mud, because in the mud, you both look the same. The second mentally strong people refuse is to match the energy. They stay above. Cleanthes of Assos, the second head of the Stoic school in Athens, used to say that the wicked person is like a dog tied to a cart, dragged along wherever the cart goes. Most people who lash back at disrespect are exactly that dog. They look like they're fighting back, but really they're being dragged. The person who disrespected them is the cart, deciding the direction. Watch how this plays out. If they shout and you whisper, they've already lost. If they insult and you ask a clarifying question, they've already lost. If they try to embarrass you and you don't flinch, they've already lost. The energy never matched, and without a match, there's nothing for them to feed on. And hey, if this is making you see disrespect differently right now, take a second to smash that like button and subscribe. It helps us reach more people who care about understanding how power actually moves between people in everyday life. Now stay with me, because the next thing mentally strong people do is the one almost nobody gets right. And the one after that is the reason most people keep getting disrespected by the same person for years without ever realizing why. 3. Categorize before reacting. This is where most people slip up. They treat all disrespect the same. They get the same level of upset whether their boss snubbed them in a meeting or a stranger cut them off in traffic. Mentally strong people don't do that. They categorize first, react second. So what kind of disrespect are you actually dealing with? There are 4 types, and each one is telling you something completely different. Let's start with type 1, the careless. This is the most common form. The person didn't think before they spoke. There's no plan, no agenda, just thoughtless behavior. It looks like disrespect, but it's really just a person who hasn't trained themselves to think before opening their mouth. This deserves correction, not war. Now type 2, the testing. This is the person who is feeling you out. Maybe a new coworker, maybe a new in-law, maybe someone you just promoted. They want to know what they can get away with. This deserves a clear, calm boundary set the first time so there's no second time. What about type 3, the projecting? This person is bleeding from a wound that has nothing to do with you. They got disrespected somewhere else, and you're the safest person in the room to dump it on. This deserves distance because their problem is going to keep finding you until you stop standing in the splash zone. And then there's type 4, the deliberate. This is the strongest statement of all. They're not careless. They're not testing. They're not bleeding. They're choosing. They want to lower your status in the eyes of the people watching. They want you reduced. This is the rarest type and the most important to recognize, because the response to deliberate disrespect is never emotional. It's structural. You change what they have access to. Most people swing hard at type 1 and freeze at type 4. Mentally strong people do the exact opposite. 4. Adinicious, stop explaining. Have you ever noticed that you start over-explaining yourself around someone who has disrespected you in the past? You feel the need to justify every decision. You add disclaimers to your sentences. You bring up evidence that proves you're not what they implied. That's not a coincidence. It's a behavioral shift they engineered, and the technical name for it is intermittent reinforcement. Researchers studying this pattern have found that when approval and disapproval are delivered unpredictably, the brain becomes obsessed with chasing the approval and avoiding the disapproval. You start performing for someone who never deserved a performance. Think about that for a second. Your entire way of speaking, the way you carry yourself, built over years of being yourself, gets quietly rewritten just because one person figured out how to mix disrespect with the occasional bit of warmth. That's the trap. So the 4th thing mentally strong people do is they stop explaining. They drop the disclaimers. They drop the proof. They drop the long apology that wasn't even asked for. Because the moment you start defending yourself to someone who disrespected you, you've already accepted their frame. You've agreed that the question they asked was a fair one. Chrysippus of Soli, the philosopher who basically rebuilt Stoicism from the ground up in ancient Athens, taught that no opinion held by another person can hurt the part of you that thinks. Translation: you only feel the need to defend yourself when you've quietly agreed that the attack might be true. Pull that agreement back, and the entire conversation collapses on the side of the attacker. 5. Walk away from the wrong audience. Ever had a rough week, a moment where you felt low, and noticed that one specific person around you got a little louder, a little sharper, a little more cutting right at that exact time? That's not a coincidence. They knew something was off before you said a word. People who specialize in disrespecting others are reading micro-signals all the time. The slight slump in your shoulders, the pause before you answer a question, the way your eyes don't fully meet theirs when they bring up a certain topic. They pick up on all of it. They don't know every detail of what you're going through, but they know something is open, and that's exactly when the disrespect hits hardest, because that's when it's most likely to land. And here's where it gets even deeper. Prolonged exposure to a person like this isn't just exposure, it's intelligence gathering. They're learning your baseline. They're noting what makes you flinch and what makes you laugh, which insecurities make you go quiet and which ones make you loud. So the fifth thing mentally strong people do is the hardest one. They walk away from the wrong audience. Not loudly, not with a speech, just quietly, slowly, permanently. Because Musonius Rufus, the teacher of Epictetus, taught that the one who is harmed is the one who believes they have been harmed. And you keep believing you've been harmed as long as you keep showing up to the place where it happens. They notice when you stop showing up too. They notice everything. So what does it mean when someone who used to respect you suddenly starts cutting you down? This is what I mentioned at the beginning, and it's something everyone watching this needs to understand before they close the video. If a person has treated you well for months or years, and then suddenly the tone shifts, the comments get sharper, the eye contact gets shorter, the disrespect starts arriving in small, deniable doses. Don't just accept it. Don't make excuses for it. Question it. People are creatures of pattern. When they break one this clearly, they're trying to accomplish something specific. Sometimes the reason is strategic. They've decided you're useful to them in a smaller version of yourself. So they're shrinking you on purpose, slowly, hoping you don't notice the shrinking is happening at all. Other times it's positional. Something has changed in their life. You've gained something they wanted, or they've lost something they had. And disrespect is the cheapest way to feel tall again without having to actually grow. And sometimes, and this is the darkest version, it's cyclical. They've done this to other people before you. They'll do it to other people after you. You are not the cause. You are simply the current chapter in a pattern they've been running their whole life. The Stoic response? Epictetus, the philosopher born a slave who later taught emperors, told his students that no one can hurt you without your permission, and that permission is given the moment you take their judgment seriously. Take it back. Stop granting permission. Pause before you respond. Refuse to match the energy. Categorize before you react. Stop explaining yourself. And when the audience is wrong, walk away from it. Because that disrespect, it was never random to them. And it shouldn't be random to you either. And that's the full picture. 5 quiet things. The pause. The refusal to match. The categorization. The end of explaining. And the walk away from the wrong audience. None of them require shouting. None of them require revenge. They just require you to stop handing your peace to people who are never going to value it. If this video gave you something to think about, drop a comment with the one that hit hardest, smash the like button if you haven't already, and hit subscribe so the next one finds you. We'll see you in the next video.